Hello everyone, this is Ben Ryder from the Academy of Gaming, Film and Animation, and what we're going to be looking at in this first video in this series is just simply how we can have a single bone joint parented to a single mesh, or how we can have that mesh parented to that joint if we're going in the right order. So ideally what we should have is be able to move this joint around and have the cylinder follow. And that means that when we start actually keyframing those things in here, it means that we are taking both the bone and the mesh with it as well. And this is very important, so that when we're animating, we are selecting this bone and animating it from there. So the way that we can parent this all up, if I just go back here, is we select the mesh itself. We make sure that we have freeze, transformation, and delete history, so it clears out all of these. We then hold down Shift and select the bone, and then we can either press P on the keyboard, which will now change this hierarchy to reflect that the joint is the driver of all this, or I can select those, go to Edit, and go Parent, or if I press Shift P to unparent, I can just drag and drop that onto here with the middle mouse button. So this is the joint, and this is the cylinder, so I simply grab the middle mouse button and drop it on that joint. Now you'll notice that there are in fact two joints, the root and then the top, which then can be expanded out to be other joints if I so choose. But that basically just means that when we're sort of scaling these things down, if we have parented and binded it up, which is something that we'll look at later, you can control the squash and stretch a bit more. As it is, if I wanted to control that squash and stretch, I can rotate, move, but also I can, if we just do a quick animation here, move this up and then move it back down. I can also put in a bit of squash in there as well. So that way we have an animation there. We can use that rig to squash and stretch as it is. Now, obviously this is a very rushed animation, and probably should have thought this through a little bit more, but that's just to demonstrate that functionality. And that's really what we're looking at in this video. The principles of animation videos will go through more of the technique, but this is more about just the functionality and how we can put these things in and why we do that. So that's all we really need to worry about there. To actually create these joints, you simply go over here to Rigging, select the bone here, and then you can left click and then left click to create it. If you want to come up in a straight line, you can hold down Shift and that will try and center it in. The other thing to consider as well is that when you are creating this in a 3D view, you want to be careful about exactly which axes these are on, because it can look like it has gone in one direction and not another. So I encourage using your orthographic views for creating those. So that's all I wanted to do to go through this first particular bone, and next we'll have a look at multiple bone joints with multiple meshes.